CFMoto is one of the fastest growing motorcycle brands in the world. And we are here at Istanbul, Turkey to find out a little bit more about their new sport bike, the 450 SR. It's time to go beyond the ride.
Turkey, where East meets West. Part Asia and part Europe. Known for tea, hot air balloons, carpets, Turkish delight, and baklava, to name a few. It also held Formula One races from 2005 to 2011, and from 2020 to 2021. So what better place to launch and to test out a bike with Asian roots and some European styling than the famous track, Istanbul Park. Unfortunately, the weather did not cooperate, but at least we were still able to get out on the track and test out how the bike handles in the very wet conditions.
So the weather has not cooperated. It is wet. Visibility is not great. It is cold, but I guess it's a great time to see what the bike can do on the racetrack. Should be interesting. My goal is really just to be as safe as possible right now because of the conditions, but of course still enjoy. Okay, so we're about to get on the track, and right now you can see the conditions not very ideal. So right now I just want to keep the bike safe, get back here after the session is over with no incidents. Really unfortunate, but that's just the way it is, and hopefully in the second session later on, hopefully at least the rain stops. Something, I don't know, just give us some sort of sign that the weather is going to be at least better. All right, so I had just had my first track session with the CFMoto 450 SR, and it's really wet and it's really cold, but I'm actually still really surprised about the bike. I mean, it was, medyo makapit pa rin yung gulong sa track despite of the conditions. I really had just problems with my hands because it was so cold. The gloves were it almost like it didn't exist. My hands were shivering the entire time. It was hard for me to squeeze the brakes when I needed to. Although at the pace that we were just going in third gear, fourth gear. You didn't really need to. It's just a lot of engine control just so that you can control the bike and you make the turns. But all things considered, despite the conditions, it's actually really impressive that the bike was able to, still progress the way a sport bike should with a wet track. Although I want to point out that this track is a F1 standard track, so you know that the surface is probably the best possible surface in the world. So it's got to be able to withstand some rain, but this is a lot of rain. Another session coming up soon. All right, so I have something to admit, right? When we first started MotoDeal, I would always watch Makina to just see what it was like and what the whole motoring industry was like. And I would always watch Zach travel. And then one day I said to myself, I have to get to travel with Zach someplace.
And we're here.
And we are here in Turkey.
We are doing it and having the time of our lives.
But Zach, first of all, it's nice to have you in MotoDeal.
And it's great to be with you as well.
Oh, thank you.
Of course.
Thank you. Always a good time when I get to hang out with you and pick your brain. But the weather didn't cooperate with us today. Mm-hmm. But you have tried this bike in the Philippines already.
Yes.
Can you talk about what it was like for you to be here in Turkey on the track with these conditions?
Well, it was tough, but this is a world-class track. Yeah. This is like an F1 racetrack, and we got nice stretches. And with the power of the 350, sorry, the 450, with the power of the 450 SR, you can really max it out and be comfortable, get what you need out of the straights, and then kind of take it easy on the corners, because it's kind of, I don't know, for me, psychologically, I just don't like pushing it when I know that the roads are wet.
Yeah.
I mean, those are the few times wherein I don't enjoy something that is wet.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But of course, you're one of the few people who tested out the bike in the Philippines. And for you, is it a bike that would do well in the Philippines with the type of roads that we have there?
Well, interesting. I think it's like 46 degrees Fahrenheit. So I did notice that there was a bit more oomph, more power, more thrust. It's only because of the cold air.
Yeah.
You have cold air. It's more compact. It's sucking in more of that compact air. You get more boost. So I'm thinking on the mod side, now you can see where you can take the 450 SR, even in our country. There's so many things you can do with that. So as you can see, with what we experienced here and what we have in the Philippines, the potential to mod this to really realize its full potential, it's really there.
Yeah.
Kasi dito pa lang, weather pa lang may difference na eh.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, with the weather here,
We're shaking right now.
It's cold. It's below 10 degrees right now. Raining. Sayang nga, we didn't get to push the bikes as much in the track. But you know what? Despite the weather and the conditions, it still performed very well for me on the track.
Yeah, you enjoyed yourself.
I enjoyed myself. I didn't feel one bit that it was a little bit unstable. It felt very planted. I was going slow in the corners, exactly what Zach said. But on the straights, I was hitting about 150, 160. But perfect.
Yeah. It's a good bike. I mean, in this day and age, CFMoto has done well in terms of, it's been only 30 years.
That's right.
Right?
1989?
89.
Yeah.
So with the level of catch-up that they did and the level that the 450 SR has to offer is just pretty good.
Yeah,
I'd say.
It is impressive. And to see the growth, like how much better their bikes have gotten through the years, they're definitely heading towards the right direction.
Yeah. It's just a matter of time.
It's just a matter of time. Hopefully tomorrow the weather will cooperate.
Yeah.
And we get to enjoy Turkey, Istanbul with hopefully some good weather.
With some sun.
All right. Thanks a lot,
Thank you
Zach.
so much.
Thank you.
And the sun did come out. We were actually able to push the bikes a lot more on the road than on the track, and it handled it beautifully. The 450 SR just really needs a quick shifter. Not sure if there's an aftermarket one for it, but it would make the bike even better. The 450 SR has a 450cc parallel twin dual overhead cam engine that puts out 50 horsepower at 9,500 RPM and 39 newton-meters of torque at 6,500 RPM. It may not sound like much to some, but when you factor in that this engine has a 270-degree crankshaft, it gives the bike a lot more oomph. The brakes are pretty solid as well. Over at the front, you get a 320mm single disc opposed 4-piston Brembo caliper. For the rear, you get a 220mm single disc. Of course, it has ABS as well. The suspension is decent. Up front, you get inverted hydraulic damping shock, and you get a center shock at the back. The bike comes with size 17s, with 110x70 at the front and 150x60 for the rear. They are wrapped with Adreno HS AS5 tubeless tires. Now, I'm not too familiar with them, but they are pretty grippy on the road, and I was shocked at how great they were on the wet.
So I want to start out with the aesthetics of the bike. I mean, it looks like a proper sport bike. In fact, it kind of has a little bit of a Panigale feel to it, right? It's like a little miniature Panigale at some angles. Look at these little winglets right here. And I just, I'm not a sport bike connoisseur, but I appreciate this. I do really like it. I like the styling, I like the way it looks, and it just has a good presence on the road. The fairings are proper. I mean, it's a legit sport bike. There are a couple of things about the bike that I'm not fond of, like this faux carbon fiber. I don't know why CFMoto does this. They also have this in CLX and some of the other bikes out there. I would have much rather just make it, I don't know, matte or just plain black, right? I don't know why they're trying to trick you in thinking that you have carbon fiber on the bike, because most people will know that this isn't real. Don't get me wrong, it looks good, but I would have just preferred, of course, real carbon fiber. If not, just keep it matte black or black. You have Brembos already, upside down fork. This engine, the 450, is actually a very good engine. It sounds proper. It's an excellent little package. The seat is actually nice and comfortable. Of course, you do have a seat for a pillion, which is probably not going to be used too often. You know, the TFT screen looks good. The handles, the clip-ons are proper. The levers are good. There's a little bit of play in the throttle area, but that's negligible. It's not too bad, to be honest with you. There's some bikes out there that are much worse than this, that are a whole lot more expensive. But the quality is really top-notch. I mean, I would say that of all of CFMoto's bikes, I would say this and the CLX series might be the two best quality bikes that CFMoto makes. Quite impressive. You can take a look at the foot pegs right here. They are relatively rear set, but they're not too bad. They're not too uncomfortable, and it's got a nice bite to it. In fact, it's a pretty good foot peg, to be honest with you. These are, I guess, the sliders. Yeah, that's definitely the sliders. And you know, complete fairings, as you can see right there, even the bottom part. It's a proper little sport bike. So CFMoto usually shares technology, and especially the engine, with KTM, like the KTM Duke 390, RC 390, ADV, so on and so forth. So I thought that this engine was going to be shared with KTM as well, but apparently not. It's a pretty good engine, and CFMoto says, nope, that's ours. We're not sharing that one. The side mirrors actually work really well, and take a look at the indicators right here. It's attached to the side mirror. Yesterday on the racetrack, we actually had these off, and I think sport bikes look better without side mirrors, but these work really well, and I like the touch of the LED of the indicators right here. That's the look of the front of the bike. Like I said, it looks like a nice little baby Panigale kind of ish, especially with the wings, with the little winglets right here. Of course, the windscreen is a pretty good size, and it works well from blocking the wind, on whether you're on the track or on the freeway, because it just, you know, the wind goes right here, and if you're in the tuck position, it just goes over your helmet. Let's take a look at the dash. Actually a pretty good looking dash, if you ask me. All the information that you need right there. Of course, it has a fuel gauge as well, as you can see. Most sport bikes don't have that. This one takes care of you when it comes to the fuel gauge. The seat height is 795 millimeters, and there's actually 3 seat heights of the bike, and it's roughly about 795 millimeters. This is the standard one. I'm 5'6" with a 764 millimeter inseam. And as you can see, that is the situation, nearly flat foot on the bike, I should say. The tank capacity is 14 liters, which is pretty standard for a sport bike like this. Of course, the fuel consumption, depending on where you're riding, whether it's on the road or on the track, is going to vary. The wet weight of the bike is 168 kilograms, which is extremely light, and it's going to make it nimble, proper for a sport bike. And the top speed is about 190 kilometers per hour. I think it actually can go faster than that, to be honest with you, judging by the past 2 days of riding it. But it's an impressive little machine. It really is. So not that long ago, I would say that CFMoto bikes are good for its price. But I think that saying is slightly changing. In fact, I think it started changing when the CLX came out a couple years back. But since then, they've gotten better. The bikes have exponentially improved in just a short amount of time. And the 450 SR is a great example of it, because this is an awesome sport bike. It's got the looks, it's got the features, it's got the performance, It's got the whole package. In fact, in my opinion, this could be the best bang for your buck sport bike out there. And it can be yours for a starting price tag of 299,090 Philippine pesos. That, my friends, is an absolute awesome deal. For more information about this bike and other MCs out there, log on to www.motodeal.com.ph. From Istanbul, Turkey, this has been Jinno Rufino. Hope you guys enjoyed going beyond the ride. I know I did.